So with it being July, which is blockbuster month, I decided I would review, because we have the new Jurassic World movie coming out, Jurassic Park. The first three movies, the Jurassic Park movies. To be honest, I've never watched these before. Until now, that I finally got around to watching them. I know about them. I read the books when I was a kid. I watched the first half of one of the Jurassic World movies once. I don't, like, if I was in a hotel or something and I watched it. But the point is, for some reason I hadn't seen these movies until now. And now I decided to watch them because really these are all the top tier when it comes to blockbusters. So without further ado, this is the first Jurassic Park movie. So for anyone who somehow don't know what this story is about, which is very surprising, Jurassic Park is the story it follows as this businessman finds a way to bring back dinosaurs. And he's going to open this park where he can show off these dinosaurs. Kind of like a zoo, but for dinosaurs. And the problem is it all goes to awry. Because he brings these scientists on to give the check mark saying, from a scientific standpoint, this is all good, ready to go. And a storm happens, the power goes out, and people get killed, adventures happen, classic monster movie. Big thing I would say, some with negatives about this, because that's always what I do, start with the negatives, is even in my description of this movie, I said something that is how everyone explains it, but is wrong. Something that really surprised me about this is I said, yeah, a storm happened and it caused the power to go out. No, everyone explains it as this. The moral of the story is that don't play God, and really this businessman who, side note, looks exactly like Santa Claus, and I'm pretty sure it's the same actor who played for Santa Claus in the remake of Miracle on 34th Street. But the point is that he's like this villain, and his playing God is what caused all this to happen. Maybe I got a different impression than everyone else did about this movie, but really, I don't think that's what has happened in this movie, at least as far as I could see. The storm had nothing to do with why the power went out. Everyone says it was because of a big storm. No. The storm could have happened, and the power could have stayed on. It wasn't. The storm had nothing to do with the power going out. The storm was just happened to be happening at the same time. The power went out because of a greedy man who was trying to steal the secrets from this company to sell to another company. That's what happened. That's why the power went out. It had nothing to do with the storm. Watch this movie again. Where are people coming from with this idea that it came from this all from the storm? It's not. Even like this greedy businessman who was playing God, and that's why all this thing happened. Everyone talks about it like he's refuses to shut down the park. He refuses to he's just being greedy and he's refusing to let go. But no, he's very quick to be like, okay, you have to turn off the power, you have to do what you must to save lives. He's like, am I getting the wrong impression? Like, why is everyone saying that it's something that it's not? Like, am I the only one who can see? Like, I'm kind of almost confused. Like that's that's the biggest problem I have with this movie. Is just the fact is the impression I got from the book and from what I've heard about this movie is not what this movie was like, at least from my perspective. So I would say the negative side of this is I feel like the villain wasn't a villain enough, because I feel like I was expecting, and maybe that's just my expectations of it that caused me to not like it as much, but the fact that the businessman was less evil businessman capitalist who just refused to shut down the park, even though it was harming people. While in real life, in the movie, he was a kind-hearted man, grandfather, who regretted his actions almost immediately when everything went awry. And it wasn't even his fault that all that happened. He hired someone. They were the one who caused the harm. I don't know. I felt like it wasn't what I was expecting. And somewhat I'm okay with that, but somewhat I would say that was a negative of this movie. Is this simply, it's just wasn't what I was expecting. And I'm confused by the fact that everyone explains this movie as something that, at least from my perspective, it's not. Anyways, on to the good with this movie. The good is, of course, the visuals are incredible. It stands up. Are they all perfect? No. But man, the dinosaurs look pretty legitimate. If they were made nowadays, it would look even better, as you see with the newer ones. But still, they look pretty incredible for when they came out. The characters, for the most part, I loved all of them. Like, we're going to hear when I talk about the sequel about, child actors and how they can be a problem, but in this one, for the most part, all the child actors were really well done. They did a great job, acting, which is a big thing you have to worry about with child actors. Everyone did a great job acting. All the characters I enjoyed with who they were. Like, you know, even as I said, with like the business owner who made all these dinosaurs, and how I was not expecting him to be what he is, but what he was, I liked. This jolly old man who wanted to bring light to the world and just like, look, these are my dinosaurs. And he was an optimistic guy who got tricked into by this nasty man who wanted to steal his inventions and caused harm to people, not because of his own doing. He tried his best to make the park safe as he could. Did he make some mistakes? Yes. But it wasn't his fault that all this stuff happened. It was the fault of that man who was greedy and was only thinking of himself. Also, as someone who really wants to be a father one day, I love the whole storyline about, you know, Alan Grant learning to want to actually be a father one day and have kids. Seeing that like relationship grow with him and those two, him and the two grandchildren, I thought it was really fun. I enjoyed watching that, and I just loved the ending where you see him like, you know, where they're like sleeping on top of him, and it's like, oh yeah, you know, the guy at the beginning of the movie says the kids are really annoying is now the biggest support of these little kids. Yeah, so the characters are great. The music, of course, it's Jurassic Park. The music is awesome. You know, this is Steven Spielberg. Can't argue with him. I mean, he's awesome. I though I'm not a fan of Star Wars. I mean, E.T.'s great. Indiana Jones is great. Like a lot of Spielberg's stuff I like. So yeah, overall I would say this is a very, like, if you want to watch a fun little movie about dinosaurs, it's fun. It's not for kids, though it's not as bad of a thing if you show it to kids, but it's a fun movie with some cool visuals and some just a fun little story to put on if you want to just have an enjoyable time and watch a blockbuster, as this month is. We're not talking about some incredible, in this month we're not talking about the incredible artwork of movies. We're talking about the fun movies, what I call the cheat movies. The movies, just like if you're a bodybuilder and you had that cheat day, just in the same way, these for filmmakers and people who just love dissecting movies, these are their cheat movies. Stuff like the Jurassic Park movies, the Mummy movies, all these different movies that are kind of, if you think about it too much, are not that great. Even though I would say these are nowhere close to the level of like the Mummy movies of being just cheat movies. These are movies you can dissect and it's incredible. But it's still in that fun little summer blockbuster, have fun, don't think about it. And honestly, I'm going to just say this now, because you never know if down the line I might have a change of opinion on Star Wars. I might put Star Wars in that category of, if you don't overthink about it and think about how great it is of a movie, Star Wars is actually, could be a fun cheat movie to watch for some people. Still probably wouldn't be for me, but for some people it might be. Anyways, guys, if you guys want to see my next one, I will be putting out for The Lost World, and I'll go into more negative sides with that one because I feel like that one wasn't as good. But if you want to see that, I'll be putting out the review hopefully soon. Thank you guys for watching. This has been the Movie Night Reviewer, Peter Wary, signing off.